So that means we're live now, actually.
Cool. We can go live there.
We're going live here. Okay. So, hey guys, this is Bradley Bennett with Semantic Mastery.
This is gonna be loud.
Let's see. We're trying to get a live Hump Day Hangouts going here. So
Activate your camera. Right there.
activate the camera.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And then lock it on you.
So bear with us. We're trying to. Let's see. Pin. I think I just
There we
pinned
go.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try this.
Hey everybody, I'll try it. Welcome to Hump Day Hangouts, episode 258. Semantic Mastery is in Denver. Hey, just wanted to say hello now that we've actually got this up and going. And we're going to do our usual thing real quick. If you're joining us for the first time, you might be a little confused because clearly we're still trying to figure out how to work computers.
We didn't get Marco in here.
Yeah, you can join.
Hernan's hard at work on the
Slack.
technical side.
Back in.
But while he's doing that, I'm going to go down and say hello to everybody real quick, starting on my right here with Chris. How you doing, man?
Doing good.
Normally, I would ask you what the weather's like, but this is kind of stupid. So.
Quite nice.
Yeah, it's about 70, 75, pretty nice. I'm Adam, and next to me, of course, is Bradley Benner.
Hi. And last but not least, Hernan over there who's being goofy.
Hey,
everybody!
there we go. And looks like Marco's coming on, so as soon as he unmutes himself, Marco, if you want to say hi and you're in here, say hello to everybody.
I don't want to say hello to any stinking body, man. I'm just playing. What's up, everybody? It's good to be here. It's good to be here on Hump Day Hangouts. I'm going to join you guys.
Oh, yeah?
I got mine ready.
Right on. All right, cool. So do we have any announcements? Or are we going to do normal announcements, or are we just going to go?
Yeah, I'm going to go through it. You know, we just, for those of you who know or don't know, obviously we just got done with POFU Live with our live event here in Denver, getting to meet up with returning people as well as some new people, which was amazing. Sharing stuff in small groups. It was a lot of fun. Just had a blast. And then, of course, carrying that on, meeting up outside, whether it was for lunch, whether we did some evening events that were a lot of fun. And, you know, we wanted to give people, because we were hearing from people, you know, oh, I missed it this year. You know, I couldn't make it. Things got mixed up. That's fine. But we want to give you a special offer to get in now. And I'll put that on the page. If you want to grab a VIP ticket, you can grab that now. It's going to be up for a limited period of time. And you can save a bundle on that and come join us next year. So if you're one of those people who's saying, hey, I will be there next year, or I want to be, then this is the time to do that. You guys got stuff figured out over here?
Yeah.
All right.
I think so.
We're good.
Sorry.
So no worries. And other than that, I want to say for the people watching today, maybe for the first time, you are in the right place for watching us. You can check out the replays, of course, on YouTube on the Semantic Mastery channel. Just hit subscribe, stay up to date with those. And if you ever have any digital marketing questions, just come to semanticmastery.com/HD questions. Ask us. Of course, if you're live, you can get a little bit more out of it by clarifying or giving us some feedback. But, we understand you can't always make it live. So you can just ask your questions, check out the replay. And then the next step for you would be the battle plan. If you want repeatable processes for your SEO and digital marketing, you can check it out at battleplan.semanticmastery.com. And for everyone else who wants to take things up a few notches, you want to be around the people who are doing what you're doing, which is trying to either grow your agency, grow your business, then you need to be in the mastermind. And you can find out more about that at mastermind.semanticmastery.com.
Right on.
Cool. And last but not least, because we got several questions about it this week, but if you need done-for-you services, which should be everyone, whether you're doing it for yourself or you're doing it for client projects, go to MGYB.co. All right, stuff, syndication networks, ROS drive stacks, press releases, links, embeds, and a lot more coming. So head over there, get that stuff done. And as far as announcements on my end, that's about it. Marco, or you guys, we got anything else we need to touch base on?
I'm good. No, we're good.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions, so let's try
All right,
to roll into that. Stand by, because I got to try to find it. Okay, so it looks like the first one is from Mike. He says, thanks for the great information. I want to try to get back to you by mentioning that you have a good outro video, but it is very high volume. Compare the video volume level. Hope it's okay to say it. Thanks. That's a good thing. Can you make a note of that to view that and
check that out?
Try to edit our processes if that's the case. So thank you for that, Mike. We do appreciate that. Next is a question. He says, what about strip the category base from category slug so it looks like a page? Site.com/cat. He's asking obviously about the URL structure for a siloed website. Yes, he's asking if he can use strip the category / post name out of the permalink structure for a silo, and absolutely you can. That's just using post name permalink structure. It's fine. It's called a virtual silo. It works just as well. as a regular silo would. Sorry, this bug just hit me in the face. The next is Vitaly. He says, hello, hope everyone is doing great. What are your thoughts on Syndication Network versus Syndication Network on the branding network using high quality spun articles, readable, that can this bring more SEO benefit? I mean, you don't need to. Why would, on your primary tier 1 branded network, you're just going to be republishing content from your blog anyways. If that's what you mean, publishing spun articles to your blog, I would recommend no. And recommend that instead you would use curated content. It's better content, creates co-citation, and you don't have to be a subject matter expert. You can just find other good content out there that you can grab snippets from and share. We've got a product called Content Kingpin, which shows you exactly how to do that. That's what I recommend. It's just going to read better. It's going to be more valuable, produce more benefit than spun crappy articles would be, if that's what you mean. Marco, you want to comment on that?
That's exactly what I told him in the Facebook group. I just wanted him to come here so that we could go a little bit more in depth, and just to make sure that we hammered that home, right? That you're way better off with curated content, citing sources and all of that, versus just a crappy spun article that nobody knows what the hell it's saying. One of the things that's important here is that it's your T1 branding, and you want it to look good. And if someone happens to come along to your T1 branding, you want that person possibly converting or getting into your funnel so that they end up on the website and they end up in your sales funnel. And so what do you want that person to see in your tier 1 branded, which is your brand amplified? Do you want them to see a crappy spun article that makes absolutely no sense, or do you want to curate something that could convert that person into a website visitor and perhaps a client or a customer? That's the question that you need to ask.
Right on. So the next one is from Steve. He says, hey, SM team, what are the best techniques for getting Google to recognize entities? For those doing GMB or Google My Business, Google readily creates knowledge panels or MREIDs. But what about those working with the web properties, people, products, etc.? What can we do beyond schema at ID pages and the Gstack? Getting a Wikipedia entry clearly works, but is very difficult for most. Jim's Taxis probably wouldn't merit a Wikipedia page, but gets an MREID through GMB. So how do we level up the field for non-GMB entities? Well, that sounds like a perfect question from Marco. I quickly would say that, creating all of the syndication network and Gstack and all of that SEO shield, including the ID page, all of that together is going to help. Having the structured data using same as attributes is going to help. But there are other things that you can do. For example, have a paid account of some sort that helps to validate the entity as well. Meaning like pay Google for something, AdWords campaigns, or Google Ads campaigns, or for extra drive storage, all of the above, a G Suite account, something like that. But Marco, what else can you add to that?
No, you just went over exactly what he's supposed to do. If you can't go in and get a verified GMB, which is the complete, it's not the complete entity in Google because you can add social media and all these other things, then what you need to do is you go in and you verify it another way. And the best way that I know is getting that credit card on file, whether it's a company credit card, a personal credit card, where you're directly related to the company. What that's going to do is it turns you into Google's customer rather than a mooch and a leech and someone who is just abusing services rather than paying them. It gets that credit card on file. And what happens is, you can have fake credit cards or whatever, but that belongs to someone. It's a thing then on the web. It's in their database. It belongs to a person, but it belongs to a company. So you just went a long way towards validating the fact that you're real. You're not just another mooch, another leech. Then you do everything else that we recommend. Absolutely, the schema, the ad ID. Amplify it through the Gstack plus gsite. Press releases. I mean, companies do that on a regular basis. They announce their news, and then link building to all of those to just help to solidify everything. That's what's going to get you. When you can't get a GMB and Google understands that, then there's other ways. Getting into all of the different data aggregators.
Crunchbase would also be a good one.
Crunchbase is perfect, but I was going to also say Wikidata, because Google is drawing directly from Wikidata. You say that Wikipedia isn't feasible, or sometimes it wouldn't merit, but your company would merit a Wikipedia entry, a Wikipedia page about the company and about everything that it does. So you pay someone to get your Wikipedia, you pay someone to get your Wikidata. It's interesting because I just posted to my partners this morning about getting into Wikipedia and Wikidata for Semantic Mastery, because I know a guy that does it, and his prices are really, really good. And so that's absolutely it. You get everywhere that RankBrain goes to aggregate data about your entity, about your thing, and make sure that it's consistent throughout. Citations, I can't remember if you mentioned citations, but that's a perfect way. Citations are a really good way, and it doesn't have to be just for local. It can just be your company.
Right. Right on. Next one is Mike. Mike says, hello, everyone. Can you please share some basic guidelines about backlinks, specifically about the text when doing backlinks, when to use exact match keywords for anchor text link or my brand anchor text, when writing a small post or short reply on forums, what information you suggest to include in the text and what links? Okay, there's a lot of questions squeezed into this one, Mike. So on a kind of a broad level, personally, I don't really sweat backlink ratios as far as anchor text ratios like I used to years ago, because I mainly just do everything through naked URLs, and like any real backlinks that are going to be built by my team at MGYB by Dedia, and he knows what to do. You just provide him with your seed set of keywords, and he creates all the ratios to where I don't really bother with it, because I don't really build my links outside of what we have him do. But really, I use mainly when I'm doing like press releases, for example, because I do publish a lot of press releases. It's almost 90% just naked URLs. Do brand anchors. I very rarely actually use any keyword anchor text, because it's not really, now off page, I mean. On page, that's a different story. So you want to have, if you have content silos on page, you want to make sure that you're linking through the content, to daisy chain things together using variations of keywords that belong in that specific silo, but not always the same page, because, or excuse me, the same keyword anchor. But as far as link building or blogging, even, and by the way, when you do that, if you're syndicating content to a network, it's going to make sure that you're not always hammering and getting external links from even your syndication network, your branded network, always pointing back with the same anchor text. That's why you want to do that. But once again, you also have all those keywords that we add. The same type of keywords that we would add to a DriveStack build would be the ones that we would add to the link building campaign. And it's a way to just continue to push relevancy in. At different tiers, there's different sets of rules as to what you can do as far as anchor text ratios, right? So again, I just hand that over to Dedia, and he handles all of it. You want to add to that, anybody?
Yeah, not to that, but to the next part. So
okay.
Yeah, for that first part, generic, naked, and brand anchors, right?
Yeah.
Because what we want to do is we want to create link diversity. Once you have that, then it's a lot more powerful when you hit it with whatever anchor text it is, that the broad, right? And then you can go, really, you can hone in on the exact match, because your link diversity is going to withstand some exact match anchors. If you don't do that, though, if you don't get those generic, naked, brand anchors and whatever you can in there, then what's going to happen is you're going to get it's totally unnatural, over optimization problems. And if you raise enough red flags that way, it could cause a manual, which is when you get into all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Cool. You gonna add to that? Looked like you were getting ready to add to it.
I'm good.
So I was looking at this next part. When writing a small post or a short reply on the forums, what information do you suggest to include in the text, and what links? For me, I mean, I'd start out by saying that it's too vague. But if you're just doing this, I look at this as you probably want to look at it more from, hey, what information makes sense? And if you're doing this for an actual strategy, that you're putting information out there that increases the likelihood that your post is going to get traffic, which I understand sounds kind of goofy, but for a forum that it's well received, right? And basically I'm saying quality, don't just say I've got to include X, Y, and Z. If you're going in here and doing this for long-term strategy, I would say make sure you're putting out quality information.
Not only that, but if you really want to know how to test what type of a text and link to use as your best link for a form signature, test it in AdWords, like search, you know what I'm saying? Because if you can get your headline and you know, your brief description and then the link and the offer to convert on through AdWords, then that's what you put it in your form signature, and you'll probably you'll have a lot more likelihood of it doing well. I mean, it's because you can test it quicker is my point, other than trying to have some signature line that really isn't very compelling and it doesn't convert very well, and you have to wait for weeks or months to get any results to determine that, right? Because you've done a lot of posts, you can really kind of hone that in very quickly using AdWords or Google Ads, and then add those to your form signatures, if that makes sense. Cool. Okay, anything else? Is it better to link most of the times to the homepage or a specific service or product page? I hope it's not too complex of a question. Well, there's a lot of questions you squeeze in there. I think it depends on what your call to action is within the content that you're using for the link building, right? I think it makes sense to link to the homepage at times, but also to more specific more specific product and or service pages. However, you also got to keep in mind, like, what is the purpose of the content that you're doing and the overall strategy for that campaign? Because if you're trying to push, you know, a specific keyword, like for a particular silo, for example, you can hit any one of the pieces of content within that silo, which you would call a deep link, because it's not going to matter if you have the on-page structured correct, which is what we talk about a lot in the mastermind. Then anywhere that you're going to hit that particular silo with, you know, inbound link equity, it's going to benefit the entire silo, right? So you want to comment on that, anybody?
Good.
Marco?
No, I would just say,
I'm sorry.
And no, as a general strategy, he should be probably looking at distributing backlinks through his inner pages,
Throughout.
deep linking.
Correct.
But yeah, beyond that, like Bradley said, it just depends on, again, what you're referencing or what exactly you're doing, but you definitely want a distribution.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in other words, you don't want to just always hammer one or the other. Does that make sense? You do want to split it up and spread it out.
This is good.
We
Let's
got
see
a
how
crazy
many
bee.
bees we can have come over.
Get out of here, you bastard! He's trying to get in my beer.
What matters here is how the website is set up, right?
Right.
Are you setting up the home page to convert, or are you setting up a category, right? Pages as categories, or categories as pages, where you're looking to push your silo through your supporting post, and then that top market level category is going to be what you're trying to rank, because that's where you want people to convert. Actually, you want people to convert all along the way. But just to be sure on the question, if you're link building to an inner page, right, then you make sure that you have it set up so that you're pushing that top market level category up, because that's what's going to bring all of the other keywords with it. It doesn't make sense to only link build to the home page if what you're trying to rank resides somewhere on an inner page in a category or in a post, or maybe it's a lander within the website. It all has to do with how everything is set up. How your website is set up should be how you direct your link building.
Awesome, thanks, man.
Sorry, real quick. I've got to bring this up now. So Wayne has a question for you. It's the most recent one, but it says, Bradley, your voice sounds very different today. Is this part of the new makeover for Hump Day Hangouts to make it more sexy?
Okay, thanks, Wayne. I'm not really sure how to answer that one. So
yeah, we'll just take this compliment and move on.
Yeah, okay.
I just couldn't. We had to read that.
All right, so next one is, I have been following the battle plan 3.0 for a GMB asset. It's been about 2 weeks since I followed steps 1 and 2 of the plan. How long before I find out the results? I don't know if I'm facing stiff competition or middle of the road competition. How long do I have to wait before I hit it again? I didn't want to reset the G algorithm. Thanks. Okay. Put all the pieces together. You know, that's what we talk about. If you use the battle plan, it's not if you just do 25% of the work, you won't get 25% of the results, if that makes sense, because you put all the pieces together and it has a more like an exponential effect, if you will. So it will work a lot better if you put all of the components together to create that entity loop or that SEO shield, whatever you want to call it. So if you put 1 and 2 pieces together, or completed steps 1 and 2, and you know, complete the next steps too. And I wouldn't stop until all that entire asset creation, that SEO shield is really put together. So we're going to be talking a lot more about that in the coming weeks with some of the stuff that we've got coming up. But Marco, do you want to add to that? I think he's muted.
sorry.
Yep.
I do want to talk about this a little bit, because something about this really stands out to me, and I don't want to pick on him because I see that he's just beginning. He's following the battle plan. He's in step 2. But dude, how can you not know your competition if you're just starting out? Like sometimes when you get to the point where you know how much power you can push, and you know exactly what you're doing, then the competition doesn't matter. It's just a matter of what you're going to do to take the competition down. You're at the start, so you have to do thorough competition analysis to know exactly how much power it is that you're going to need to push. Because a lot of this, you might do too much and it might not be necessary, or you may be doing too little and more might be necessary. So I mean, you have to know, are people paying for AdWords in this niche? Google ads, how much are they paying? Are they paying for Facebook ads, YouTube ads, other ads? How many competing pages does it have? Is it in the 100,000s? Is it in the millions, but singles? Is it in the tens of millions? Is it in the hundreds of millions? Once you have all of that together, you'll know exactly how tough and how stiff the competition is. And then you'll know exactly what to do. But the plan is still the same, right? Syndication network, drive stack plus gsite, press releases, link building, and then embed runs and link building. And then you do all of that before you start analyzing the data and seeing where your project has landed in ranks, because you'll see that different keywords rank differently, different niches rank differently. So you have to know whether you need to isolate one of your market level keywords, one of your top keywords that's maybe stuck second, third page. You may have to isolate that and hit that individually once you've done everything. So without completing everything, part 1 and 2 of the plan, as Bradley said, finish everything first. Once you do that link building run, which is the final piece, you let it sit 21 days, 4 weeks, and then you come back and analyze the data and see what it is that you have to do. But guys, starting out, when you're starting in this, it's a must for you to be able to analyze the competition and understand what it is that you're up against. Because whether it's you investing your money or whether you're investing your client's money, you have to know what you're going to spend your money on and how much of it.
Yeah. And I'm not going to be able to get the quote right, Marco. Maybe you can help me, but this reminds me of what you said. It might have been during your talk at POFU Live, but basically like Sun Tzu and the art of war, and saying you want to come to the battle knowing you're already going to win, and you can't do that if you don't know what your competition is.
But you have to know that you're going to win the war before you fight the first battle.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact quote offhand, but it's along those lines. How can you know whether you're going into, you can't go blind into battle. I might have a bow and arrow and I'm going up against a howitzer, right? I'm going up against a nuclear missile. I'm not going to do very, very well. So once you lay it all out, and you're absolutely right, because it is war, and you understand your enemy, your competition is your enemy always, and you know exactly what it is that you have to do to take down your enemy, well, you win the war, and you haven't done anything. Think about it. All you've done is study the enemy. I love Sun Tzu. Thank you, Adam.
That's awesome. All right, so the next one says, is it possible to target national keywords by using verified GMBs?
Yes, mate. Good.
So, Marco, I'm going to hand that one over to you because I know you talk about different strategies for that kind of stuff. He's got an example follow-up question next. So, again, is it possible to target national keywords by using verified GMPs? For example, a long-tail keyword like how to lose weight.
This is totally an it depends question, right?
Yes.
What is it that you're trying to do? Because one thing is local. And what you're targeting is the proximity factor, and then overriding the proximity factor so that you can get into outlying areas and target those. You can totally do that. You can totally extend the centroid. And somebody who was in our local GMB Pro just came out with extending the centroid in his own training, his own original training. Anyway, I'm not going there. I'm just saying, what the fuck, man. But yes, you can extend the centroid, And there are different ways that we teach for extending the centroid. So you can totally do it. You're going to need a whole lot of GMBs. Because in a place like New York City, Chicago, LA, you're going to need to push a lot of power. It's not just I'm going to get one GMB, do a whole bunch of posts, and then that's going to get me where I need to go. Again, it depends on the competition. Now, if it's a national keyword like cosmetic manufacturer, and there's no location, like you don't need to use location, there's nothing location based, why would you target it with a GMB other than to create like a national headquarters for the brand? But that would be branding. That wouldn't be, so this question is kind of confusing me.
Yeah, it's a bit vague.
I don't know about you guys, because I mean, we're talking about two different things here. And maybe what you're thinking is you want to become the knowledge panel for the keywords. Well, that's brand plus keyword association. And I think Fabian is in RYS Academy Reloaded, and we teach that all day long. We show how to do that. I mean, we've been doing it for we'll be going in 5 years in May since Bradley ranked his Virginia SEO Virginia. So yes, it can be done. It depends on what you're trying to do.
All right, right on. Thank you. So the next question.
Lockdown Marco, you guys know that, right?
It's like back and forth.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay,
think so.
cool.
Vitali said, what I meant is maybe hosting original content on the money site, but on the branding network, instead of syndicating content, posting high quality spun versions of posts from money site. Best regards. No, I mean, there's no reason to. That's what I'm saying. Like if it's your branding network, your branded network, then there's no reason that you would need to post spun versions of your money site post, because I just republished the money site posts. Again, I don't recommend using spun content as any on page or any first tier link building stuff, because it's just not a good idea to do that now. It's even if it's high quality spun stuff, which I guess you can still get away with that if it's done very, very well. Okay.
Cool.
All right, next one. Katie says, hey guys, I was talking to a dentist about his SEO. He told me his son was doing it, but was getting nowhere. I spoke to the son and he told me he bought some gigs on Fiverr for Google Sites and Drive files. I told the dentist, you get what you pay for, and that I may be able to help do it properly. Can I go to MGYB and buy a Gsite and Drive stack for this one, or is it too late? Will the current Gsites or Drive stack his son set up interfere with the one the MGYB would build? I don't think the son will let me delete all of the work he has done. Thanks. Well, I'll let Marco also answer on this one, but I would absolutely get a new Drive stack and Gsite built that is built correctly, which will likely trump the other one because the other one was not put together properly, so it's not really pushing any relevancy or entity validation, if that makes sense. So once it's done right, that would be the one that would come be associated with your entity because it will be done correctly. But Marco, what would you say? Is it critical that the other one would be removed or deleted?
No, it won't matter. And as a matter of fact, what you could do is add those as satellites to push into the new Drive stack plus Gsite that we're going to create for you, which is done right. Then you can link build into all of those, which is only going to help. I mean, it's not going to hurt. Absolutely not.
Okay.
But what you do need is that branded Drive stack and Gsite created my way, not somebody else's way, because they always skip corners. They never do the work that they're supposed to do. Think about it. And I've said this before. It takes between 6 and 8 hours for a trained builder, Jessen, by the way, the original RYS V8, to do one and do it properly. Someone is going to charge you maybe, I don't know, $50, and they're going to spend 6 hours, maybe 8 hours building your Drive stack. No, it's not going to happen. The money just isn't there, right? Or $5, $10, $15. We charge what we charge for a reason. And you're absolutely right. And when I saw this, I couldn't believe it. You do get what you pay for. And if you go to Fiverr, sometimes you got some really good gigs in there that do a specific thing. But when you're talking about pushing power, the Rank Your Shit Academy reloaded way, there's only one way to do it. You go with the original.
I agree.
Yeah, with this one, I would probably be careful if I was in this position, because now I'm thinking, okay, there's someone else in there. So this to me goes back to managing client expectations and saying, well, now there's a son who's got, you know, back-end access to everything. So you might want to be managing, say, hey, if the son's involved and he's screwing around with stuff on the that I don't know about, then, you know, I can't be held responsible for some of this stuff.
Yeah,
he could
that's
be
true.
working against our goals. So I'd be careful with that.
Okay, moving on. The next one. Let's see. I'm trying to find a guy stand by me.
I think Jordan had a good one. He said mastermind plus sub-mastermind group equals the cat's meow. I totally agree with that. It's not a question, but I like it.
Okay, so the next question I see is, I have questions about your done-for-you service, syndication, and stacks. I've had other vendors create those before, but don't think they were set up correctly.
I see a theme here.
Any problem with having you do them again? No, actually, that's the best thing to do is just come get it done correctly, and then you can analyze the ones that we built for you versus the ones that you got from other vendors, and you know, figure out what was done wrong and apply it to the old ones. Yeah. Fix your stacks. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would do, because that's what a lot of people, I mean, it's either that or go by RYS Academy, and that way you can go through the training and then you can understand what was done and then go fix the ones. But again, your time is best spent on just purchasing them and letting somebody else do all that manual work, right? So the next one is, Nathan says, when you build Gstacks for people, I know you ask them for a main keyword. However, what if they offer multiple services? Do you create one Gstack for each URL? For example, a company that offered HVAC and plumbing services. Do you create a stack for each URL or service offering a company / and he went through several examples. No, I mean, you can, but another way to do it is to have a brand stack created, which is what we do. We recommend for whatever your primary keyword is, or keywords, top level keywords. And then from there, once you get it back, and at some point we're going to be able to provide this as an additional service, but once you get the branded drive stack back, you can go in and clone the folders that are contained in the primary drive stack folder and then re-optimize it. It does require some manual work, but for each one of your silos or product services or categories on your site, so that way you're mirroring your internal files from the drive stack inside of a branded and overall branded drive folder. So again, you're just building that relevancy. You're going to mirror the same type of site structure that you have on your website into your drive stack. It does require some manual work, but the most important thing is to have that branded drive stack with the top level keywords associating with that brand. Does that make sense? So Mark, do you want to comment on that?
No, that's what I would have said. No, we're not going to create both.
Yep.
If you submit HVAC and if you submit plumbing and you ask us to do keyword research, we're going to give you everything that's related to that. If not, then you have to do your own keyword research and submit the keywords that you want related to your brand, which, as Bradley said, we ask for about 50 and go for top keywords. Don't go for the long tails. The long tails you're going to get as you build it out, as you build your supporting post, and as you build your inner pages, and you mirror your G site, your money site on the G site. But Bradley, just so you guys know, and I just got the news yesterday, we're testing the drive stack and G site builder as we speak.
Nice.
So
That's great.
It's coming. It's coming.
That's great.
It's going to make it a lot easier. And right now, like, if he wants to make it easier on himself and clone the drive stacks, then what he can do is he can make a donation to my charity and then write to Chris G for the webinars, right? The charity webinars for last year and the scripts. And I'll put a link to the donation.
That's awesome. Thank you. And I'm not seeing any other questions. You guys see any more?
No, we'll give people a minute here, and I know that there's a little bit of a delay here.
There's not much delay through Zoom, though.
Shh.
So
I did see a question in YouTube here.
Okay.
And they said, "Where in Colorado?" We are still in Denver, Colorado. So
yeah.
For a very short period of time.
So what is the URL if people want to get the early bird discount for next year POFU Live?
Go to POFULive/2020.
To POFULive.com.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm pulling it up to make sure I'm not lying. POFULive.com/2020, and make sure you use the coupon code 2020 or 2020 action taker.
Yeah.
Right.
That's gonna be the lowest price ever. I would sell it.
definitely.
It was a good event. I thought it was really good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let's touch on that real quick. We got a few minutes. We can wait for some questions here. I want to share with people. So we had Catherine Jones. So if you haven't seen her, you can you could search for CF Design School Semantic Mastery. Check out a webinar we had with her. She dropped some good knowledge for everybody, especially a lot of the people that are growing their agencies, growing their consulting, and she taught them and us about funnel design, but not just hey, do this to make your funnel look pretty, but it's about converting, not being pretty. And then how you can do this and how in a short period of time you can create these things that you can really crush it in terms of selling to clients or adding it on to your agency. So that was pretty cool. Do you guys have anything else to say about Catherine's presentation?
No, it was good. It was really good.
And then Adam Bensman was another one of our guest speakers. That was great. Guy's got a ton of sales experience. This was really cool talking to him, getting some insights about basically kind of brand positioning, which tied in really well with what Hernan talked about just one small part of Hernan's presentation was about personal branding, and then how you can help yourself basically by growing yourself as an authority. And it's not some 25-step crazy diagram you got to follow to do this. It was pretty simple, but combining that with what I think Adam said would be really powerful. So
cool. Yeah. Wayne says, what was the biggest takeaway that you can share from POFU Live 2019?
That you should go to pofulive.com/2020 and sign up, Wayne, because one, we want to see you there, and two, I'm not dodging the question. I'll let these guys answer it, but like we've told people, and like all of the testimonials say, when we just ask people, hey, what do you want to share about POFU Live? Hey, content was great, and it took something away immediately that paid for it. But on top of that, it's interacting with people, and that's what you get out of a small group. So whether it's us, whether it's the guest speakers, or whether it's each other, and saying, oh, you know what, I had not been doing this one little thing, or you open my eyes to a whole new area I could either be doing for myself, doing for clients, stuff like that. But that's consistently what we've heard.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I think so too. If I can add real quick, I think that as digital marketing or digital agency owners, most of the people that come to POFU Live, they spend most of their time alone, right? They might have a couple of VAs, they might have a small team, but most of them are remote, right? So coming here and being in a room for 3 days with people that have kind of the same ideas that you have, and some of them might be even ahead than you, and some of them you might help to get to the point where you are right now. I think that's one of the best things that could possibly happen to an entrepreneur or a digital agency owner. So
yeah, and on a purely SEO basis, I want to say that it was awesome to hear how just putting the SEO shield together, the way that we teach, works across the board. And hearing that from several of our members at POFU Live that talk about how it's like the cheat code. So it's awesome because it's validation beyond. We all knew it worked anyways, but it's really good to hear it when members actually take our advice and put it together the way that we teach, and then they get the same kind of results. And that to me was a great takeaway, to know that we've got something that's been working for us for years that continues to work beyond updates or through or despite of updates. You know what I mean? So it's just very encouraging to see that.
Yeah. So Wayne, I'll hop in to answer your question for myself. I think the biggest takeaway looking for something like either tactical or real world was Rob got up. Rob gave a great presentation, and then he hopped on the whiteboard. And that's where the magic happens. And so went through stuff, but he's going to be sharing that with people. And Bradley already mentioned the SEO shield and exactly what people can do, and basically taking the battle plan, combining it with what's been done already and what will come in MGYB, and saying, here's what you've got to do. So again, not to tease it, but it's on its way out, and we'll share it with everybody as soon as we have something.
Yep.
All right, so I'd like to answer Wayne's question, because my biggest takeaway, not only this year, but also last year, is that the people who come to us, the action takers, they generally already have everything SEO-wise that they need to get results. Because we've been proving it since we started, that when you implement what we give you, you get results. Now, what I often see, and in my mini mastermind and in doing this for so long, is that people simply get stuck. It's a joke, right? Don't get stuck in the middle, because all you get in the middle is a big fat fuck you. But it's true, guys. Do you want a finger prodding you in the middle when you're not doing anything, is that what you're really looking for? Or are you constantly going to be taking action and doing the things that you need to do to get to where you want to be? Because it's not being where you have to be. That sucks. It sucks having to be somewhere and having to do something. But when you want to do it and you like to do it, even if it's something that you know you have to do to continue on that path to powerful, it's fulfilling. And you don't get all of these different things drawing at you and pulling you away because you're hyper focused. You know that you can get results. We give them to you. We give you everything. You can come and reach out to us personally and we'll answer your questions. We'll do everything we can to help you make money, but we still have people stuck in the middle, even mastermind members. We have people stuck in the middle because they won't do the shit that they're supposed to do to be successful. And so one of the things that you need to do to be successful is get with like-minded people. And the only way you're going to do that is by attending these events. And I don't mean the bullshitted events where you have hundreds of people and you do that for networking more than anything. You do that to see how you're going to make money and where. Do that. But when you really want to get with like-minded people who are hyper-focused on making money, that's when you need to be in one of these events, the real ones, the ones where you get the gritty nitty, right? The ones where you get down to business, down to brass tacks, and you get what you're supposed to get so that you can continue making money.
Definitely. Hey, real quick, got some questions on YouTube I want to answer before we hop to the next question, which I love from Click SEO. But first of all, Brian Cato says, "What's up, guys?"
What's up, Brian?
Hey, what's up, Brian? Good to meet you, man. And then also another Brian was asking, "Do you guys do stacks for dating sites?" I don't believe we have any restrictions. I mean, I don't think that crosses any lines for us building stacks, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because a lot of those can have things like mail enhancement, and it depends on the affiliate that you're running. We're not going to do any of that. I'm not going to have my people do any of that. We just don't do it. So we don't get involved.
Brian, if you're watching this, just email support@mgyb.co. Tell them what your what your keywords are, and right, Marco, they'll be able to tell them from that whether or not they can build it.
Right. So no adult, no pharma, gambling. I don't know. It's iffy. Guys, it has to be in English. Don't ask us to do Hungarian because that's a one-off, and the money that we have to charge you to do a one-off is not feasible.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So Click SEO has the next one. He says, or she says, "Can you build an agency just outsourcing to white labels?" Yeah, you certainly can. I like what Jordan Fowler followed up. He's one of our mastermind members and very successful agency owner. And I agree very much with what he said. And that is that you can, but you have to understand what it is that you're talking about for when you do get questions, or at least be honest and say that you'll get the answer if you don't have it. Whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that you're not talking at with ignorance to a potential customer or a client without being able to answer the questions. And it's something that you can learn as you go, depending on what all your service offerings are. We're going to be talking a lot about that in the coming weeks or coming months for different things that you can do to build an agency without you having to do all of the work. And so I think it's important to understand the concepts, the foundation of it, and then from there you can you can learn how to best manage questions and such for each one of the services, depending on what kind of also confidence level you have in your done for you service providers. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So anybody want to comment on that?
No, I think what Bradley's understanding just the basics, at least, I mean, at a minimum, but this may not be a great analogy. I'm doing this on the fly, but I was like, can you own maybe a few automotive repair shops and not be a mechanic? Sure. Is it going to benefit you greatly to understand the business you're in? Yeah, you better. So I'll leave it at that, but I know Marco's got some more to say.
Well, we make it simple, right? We not only provide the services that you need done for you to get everything that you need to do for the client, but if you join the mastermind, then you get access to us so that if you run into tough questions, you can just come ask us. Yeah. How do I answer this question? Client asked me this. I need an answer. What do I say? And we'll give you an answer. And we've simplified everything. We've boiled it down to make it so simple that I think that people think that our simplicity means that it doesn't work. And it's just the other way around. People make it so complex that they need to confuse you, because if you're confused, they can keep making money from you. We want to boil all that shit away, all that garbage. All we want is that pure rock. We want that good stuff. That's what we want, guys. That's what, because when we have that, when we simplify it, that's what really works. And that's why this is so good. And the way that we've set it all up for you to come and take advantage of it, it just rocks. And all you have to do is join the mastermind. I mean, it's so simple. I don't know why more people don't do it. Maybe I don't know, doubters, doubting Thomases, whatever it is. Get past it, because you can make so much money.
Cool. Thank you. All right, so we're almost, well, we still got about 10 minutes. Wow.
I think we're gonna have to end it a couple minutes early, right?
Yeah, because I know Hernan has to go.
Well, we're streaming through yours.
No, Bradley's
see.
the host, so I think that I can just go in.
Fit says, good day, gents. I have a site that is showing 27 Google Console page 3 on main keyword, manual search number 1, main keyword on GMB, drive stack, 3 press releases, aged site. What can I do to improve? I don't know, because that was kind of a word salad at the end there. I'm not really sure what you were saying. But as far as if you've got page 3, or excuse me, keywords on page 3 in Search Console, it means that they're close. It's with some proper maybe on page, or maybe some supporting articles that through the same silo that would link to that page specifically, syndicated across your network, for example. That's going to help to kind of reinforce the theme for that particular post. Again, this is all provided that you have proper on page. If your structure is poor on page, then it's going to be difficult to push. But it'll respond so much better to these type of tactics if you have good structure, good internal linking. So doing that, syndicating to there, maybe adding some additional drive files within a particular, silo drive folder that would do the same thing, link back to those posts, the supporting posts that we're linking to kind of boost the posts that are showing up, or the keywords, the pages that are showing up on page 3, that kind of stuff. Those are all things that you can do. Also getting traffic to them, either through organic means or through buying weighted traffic to those new posts that have been created is going to help to kind of activate all of that stuff. So, and obviously, just all the stuff we talking about, mirror that same sort of page or post on GSite. Once again, you can even iframe it in there. That's all the stuff we get into in the RYS Academy. Marco, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, GMB post silos.
Okay. Yeah, you've got a GMB. It says in your question there, Fit. So yeah, you can silo those together as well. Use press releases, press release silo stacking. We talked about that recently too. It's on our YouTube channel. So that's, once again, you just kind of mirror all that stuff through all the different assets that you have available. Okay.
Then link build to all that, and then once that's done, you take all that and you run an embed gig and you link build to all that, and then see where it sits after that.
Beautiful.
Nice.
I just thought back to something where Wayne was asking us, and I realized I don't think we mentioned that everyone here, that asks about link building and embeds, we're always like, you've got to talk to Dedia. And for the people who know who that is or has heard him mentioned, he was at Popu Live
2 years in a row from India.
2 years in a row from India.
That's awesome.
Flew over and paid for his ticket, came over and joined us. And this time he was dropping some bombs. Did a case study, was helping people out. That was really cool. It was just really good to see. Yeah. So,
yeah, it was awesome.
And people appreciate it. So Wayne, that was another one. That was cool because I know you know who he is. And for other people who may think, he's just somebody who exists out in the internet, like real deal came down and joined us 2nd year in a row.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. That's great.
Well, listen, I don't see any other questions, so I think it's time we can wrap it up a few minutes early, guys. So we want to say hi again and bye from Denver, Semantic Mastery from Denver, except for Marco, but we piped him in as usual. So we'll see you guys next week.
See ya, guys.
See ya.
Later.